What's up guys, welcome to Daily Refinement. In today's video we're going to talk about shutting it all down. If you look behind me, the storage unit is completely empty. I have been doing this full time since 2017. If you guys are following my journey back in the beginning, I was 10K on the bay. My first inventory system was pile on the floor. I graduated to a storage unit and I've been here for about 6 years, but I'm pretty excited for what's next in my life and I want to share that in this video, but also I want to go over all the things I learned from working in a storage unit. Before we get into the information, I want to talk about how I ended up in a storage unit in the first place. So I think a lot of people have this issue where they don't have enough space at home. I used to do this in a 2-car garage in my house. At 5,000 items, I needed more space. So I looked at some different options and I think storage unit was the perfect option for me because it can grow as you grow. So when I moved in, I actually grew from 5,000 items to 28,000 items over the course of the next year and a half. I went from one 10 by 40 unit to 3 10 by 40 units. So it's nice because over the years I've actually needed more space and was able to get another storage unit, or my operation shrank so I was able to get rid of one storage unit. So it's great as an option between warehouse and at home because you can get all the stuff out of your house. Also, when I got married, I bought a condo with my wife, which was much smaller than the house I was renting. So it was nice having a separation from business and personal, not having a mix between stuff and inventory in the house, mixing with your personal stuff. Those of you that work at home, if you do get a small storage unit or move stuff out of your house, you do get some mental real estate back, and I recommend you at least try that one time in your life, not having everything at home. So it's really great for me moving from there to here, and I'm really excited to share all the other stuff. So I started in a regular storage unit that did not have power, and I waited on a waiting list for 2 years to find a storage unit with power. So I actually pay a separate bill for electricity here, your normal rental rate, and an electricity bill. So in this space, it's cool. You are allowed to run extension cords, but you're not allowed to run like a microwave or a fridge or any type of equipment. Also, you need to be courteous to your neighbors and not be too loud. In a commercial storage unit, you can also close the door, which is actually very useful because you can work in privacy. Before I had electricity, I worked in a regular storage unit with a Yeti power generator. It's really important to be really nice to the storage manager because technically a regular storage unit, you cannot work there. This is a commercial unit with a light commercial license, which means you can do some work on site, but not heavy equipment. So you have to look at the zoning and look at the different areas. And if you call 10 storage units, maybe none of them have electricity, but if you call around, especially to the ones that have big roll-up doors, they may actually have electricity. So I ran the power cords back here, and you guys can see I have LED lights up above, and I use that to create soft lighting. So if you guys look at some of my listings, you can see really soft lighting, and that's from having a lot of light. The only downside is if you have different color lights. So the lights in here are all white daytime bulbs, which is really helpful. And again, when I moved to this extra space, it gave me like a really cool feeling because everything was finally out of my house. You're working with a dedicated space, which is always the best way to go. And again, I'm really excited now for what's about to happen next. All right guys, we're gonna try to remove the play button. I don't know if it can actually come off. Oh, that wasn't too bad. That was sweet. Guys, I just used double stick tape. I'm surprised that it worked out okay. All right guys, it's time to close one chapter and open another one. What's up guys? So I actually moved into a 3,000 square foot warehouse. I'm gonna give you guys the full tour in a different video, but I wanna go over a few different things in this sequence in order. Number one, I wanna talk about moving here because a lot of people move into a different space and they wanna talk about the best way to do that. I'm gonna talk about how much space you should get. I'm gonna talk about the shipping station that I created. I'm gonna talk about my inventory systems throughout the years. And also, more importantly, I wanna talk about this eBay room right here where I'm gonna design the perfect 30-a-day store. We talked about making $165,000 profit running an eBay business. And I think this is the perfect room to do it. It's 15 by 15, it's 225 square feet. I'm gonna go over building all the systems and it'll make all the sense in the world once you realize how I figured out all this over the years with help of tech and sports. And that's a whole nother conversation. You guys just listened to the podcast last week, but let's get into it. The first thing I want to talk about is moving. So I did hire movers to move everything over here. It took a total of around 7 hours to move everything. And I set up the shipping station last because that's the most important part, because packages have to go out on time. So it was the last thing loaded and the first thing unloaded. And the shipping station is also where I do listing. So listing and shipping is paramount. Gotta do that first. I recommend moving everything all at once. Do not separate your move into multiple days. It'll end up being a lot more expensive. Also, if you do movers and you move as well, I find it to be relatively cost effective. It only cost me about $650 to move everything from there over to here, and I have more stuff than most people. So I recommend having a plan before you move so movers know exactly where to move things, everything boxed up and ready to go, everything labeled so when you arrive you can get back to working immediately. So the last thing to get loaded was the shipping station. This is the most important part to set up at your new facility. So I have 2 shipping stations. They are literally identical, same supplies. All of the shipping supplies are labeled when they need to be reordered, because the worst thing that can happen is you run out of supplies and you have to waste time going to Office Depot or Office Max and paying 10 times the price. So all my supplies are in stock, ready to go. I primarily use the USPS free shipping supplies. So I have those on deck at all times, and I order about 3 weeks ahead of time because sometimes it gets delayed, especially during the holidays. So the way I sort my packages is my mail carrier's name is Frazier. He's really nice. I offer him a bottled water or a Gatorade every single day to pick up the packages. That way he scans on the spot. Now finally I have a spot with a loading dock, so I can just roll out the packages, help him load onto the truck, he'll scan. It's awesome. Give them the bottled water or the Gatorade, but it's important to establish a really good relationship with your post office carrier, and you can do that by being as courteous as you can. So we help load, he actually hits the doorbell, then we move everything out to the front, get it ready for him. But we also have to separate first class and priority packages to make it easier at the distribution center. You guys have probably seen in a few videos me going to the distribution center. I purposely picked this warehouse because it's right by the USPS distribution center. So if you guys look at my feedback in regards to shipping, my packages usually arrive 1 or 2 days earlier because I drop off at the distribution center. And for most people, when you drop off at a local post office, it goes to the distribution center and it usually takes an extra day. So my packages, if you live in California or on the West Coast, you'll probably get them the next day or at most 2 business days because it goes from here right onto an airplane really, really fast. So important to get your supplies in check, everything being the same. So I always talk about me having 2 of everything. I actually have 4 of everything now because there's 2 stations and I don't really want any of these shut down. So in this new facility, I have a lot more capacity. I can do a lot more volume, and also it's a nicer place to work than a storage unit. So a lot of people will have difficulty finding help working at a storage unit because it's not very comfortable. We were just there before here and it was freezing cold. In here though, I'm actually just wearing this jacket because I was wearing it over there, but it's hot in here. So being in a warehouse is totally different. The expenses are way higher. So it's important to understand if you move up to a bigger space, it costs a lot more. That's why we have the eBay room we're going to talk about later, because the eBay room is going to simulate doing it at home, which for 99% of people is the right way to go. I want to talk about the inventory system and how it's grown throughout the years. When I first started, I was just pile on the floor, and that's how everybody starts. Eventually, you want a little bit more organization. So when you guys watch me in my garage, I use shelves and these plastic bins. You actually don't need shelves. You can just stack these, but Murphy's Law, always the one on the bottom sells, so you got to dig it out. What I would do is I wrote B05 in the custom SKU, and then when B05 sold, I would just go to bin number B05, dig through everything, find the item that's sold, and that was okay. I actually kept this system to about 5,000 items until I outgrew my garage and needed something a little bit bigger. That's when I decided to move to a storage unit, and I switched to this system with boxes. Boxes are a lot cheaper than plastic bins, but they don't hold their value. These plastic boxes, or these cardboard boxes, aren't worth anything anymore, but my old 500 bins that I had, I sold for $7 to $8 each, and I bought them for $4 at Target. And now I think these are actually $9 at Target. So the price goes up. If you buy quality stuff, when you close your store down, you can sell your fixtures for money, but cardboard boxes just get recycled at the end. I use cardboard boxes because they don't taper at the sides and you can fit more stuff in. And I want to point out that the current system that I use, it doesn't matter what receptacle you use. You can start with anything. When I first started the journey with the Reseller Nirvana store, I actually just used 2 cardboard boxes I got out of the trash. I didn't want to waste any money on supplies. I wanted to focus on that money being used towards inventory to grow my store. So this system, I had 1,000 of these boxes, 1 through 1,000, still in that normal chronological order, but I still use that system of like, in this example, 555 was in the custom SKU, and I would come dig through the item to find, or dig through the box to find the item that's sold, and I fit about 30 items in each box. They're a little bigger than the plastic bins. So I ended up growing to 28,000 items on eBay using this box system. And again, it took a lot longer than I thought to look through the items to find what I was looking for, and I found that I tried to keep the bins about halfway full, so I didn't have to dig through so much stuff, but then that means I'm only at half capacity because they're only halfway full. So that inspired me to change my inventory system to what I use now, which is chronological. So everything would be in order sequentially. So in this example, we have 82, 83, 84, 85 in order. Everyone starts as an everything store. So in this, I have a shirt, a jacket, a hat, and shoes, because you don't know what you are gonna focus on in the beginning. So I have these random items, but they're still gonna be in order. If I put them in the bin, 2, 3, 4, 5, I know that when I walk to the bin, they're gonna be in order. And the most important part is when you're doing sequential, if something is out of place, you can easily find what area it's in. With my old system with just the numbers and the letters, if you misplace an item, you have to look through your entire inventory system to find it, which is very problematic because the number one thing that goes wrong is not being able to find an item that sells. Imagine going through all this, selling it, customers happy, and you can't find the item to ship to the customer. So frustrating. So when I was a pile on the floor, it took like a minute to find an item. When I moved from the pile on the floor into these bins, it took me maybe 30 seconds to find an item. And then when I switched to sequential, it was taking on average less than 10 seconds to actually find an item, which meant picking was super fast. Now, it's really important here. This is really important, so please write this part down. It doesn't matter what your bins are. You could use a box, a barrel, a bucket. They don't have to be uniform. It looks nice when they're uniform, but I wouldn't just jump ahead and buy boxes because you don't know what size you need. If you're selling clothing, this box is way too wide. I bought this box so I could sell shoes and clothing, but I think it's so complicated when you sell different types of things because the storage is just so different. So I think it's important before you go out and change your whole inventory system and change what boxes you have, make sure it fits exactly what you're selling. So for me, it ended up being 30 by 8 by 8 was the final iteration of my boxes. But do not just copy me. Please look at the size of your shelves. Please look at what you sell and come up with your own box size. Every single box size can be ordered. So make sure you pay attention. The best solution is always going to be custom for you. So that's my inventory system. I'm sorry, that's how it used to be. Then I switched to racks. So behind me, and as you guys were seeing in the bigger shot earlier, I switched to racks now because I have more space. And it's really important to understand that these items take up way less space than on racks. It's about a 4-to-1 savings. So what I am doing for the concept store of the Reseller Nirvana 30-a-day store, that store has, is only about 225 square feet, and it's gonna store more stuff than a 1,000 square foot place with racks. So one obvious thing you could do is get double racks, but then they get really heavy, and I don't recommend double racks if you're moving them. So stationary, it's okay, but if you have a step ladder. But since I roll these around directly to shipping, I'd rather have them just be one level so they're not super duper heavy. So hopefully that's useful, guys. Thank you guys for following me along on my journey. Remember, we all start with piles on the ground. Eventually it turns into piles of packages. I was super excited when I moved from my house to a storage unit, and now we're at a warehouse. And I'm a fisher. I got the post office pickup. Every single day they come around the same time. And super excited, guys. Remember, take it one day at a time. Until next time, make progress daily. My bad. I don't know where our water went.
Okay.
So do they come on Saturdays or no? So I'll see you Monday.
Monday through Friday.
Okay, I'll see you Monday.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.